Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, and well, a new rule today, but also another yin-yang puzzle. So this has come in from Samu Piano, who's done some of the most interesting work that we featured on the channel. Always quite innovative. I never know whether to say innovative or innovative. Maybe I'm being very innovative about the pronunciation. But this is inner peas, because Samu's either come up with or developed a rule that they call split peas, and well, we'll have a look at this in a moment. But first of all, don't forget that on Patreon you can have a go at the monthly puzzle hunt, the Hollywood lunchbox full of sandwiches, and we think it's going to be very entertaining for you, so do check it out. We think you'll enjoy it. There's still plenty of days left to enter the competition until the 20th, and loads of different sandwich varieties for you to try there, and you can even test your film knowledge. Now, what else we got on Patreon? Of course, there's connections videos, crossword videos, extra Sudoku solves, extra Sudoku content for you to try. Just a lot of good stuff to interact with, just as there is on Discord. And of course, you can check our catalogue of our puzzles, Sven's Sudoku pad, our merchandise, all on the links under the video, along with all of our apps, which feature Approachable Sudoku. So I suspect this puzzle is going to be quite hard based on Samu Piano's record. If you like easier puzzles, get Approachable Sudoku #1, which is out, and check it out, because the puzzles really are manageable. They will guide you through some of the basic rules, and they're by some great constructors. So those are all on the links under the video. The first link is to this puzzle, and the rules are given under the video too. And I'm going to go through them now. Normal Sudoku rules apply. 1 to 9 will have to go into every row, every column, and every 3x3 box somehow. Now we've got yin-yang, so we're going to have to shade some cells so that all the shaded cells are orthogonally connected, and all the unshaded cells are one orthogonally connected region too. But no 2x2 region can be completely shaded or unshaded. So we could, I hope I can manage, well, I mean, I suppose, why not? Oh no, it's not quite working, is it? But there, that's one possible shaded region, which is all one group with no 2x2s in it, and the remaining unshaded area is all one segment with no 2x2s in. So that's one way it could work. Now, in this puzzle, one of the shaded regions is hot, and every digit in it has a value that is one more, sorry, every cell has a value that is one more than the digit in it. In the cold region, which is the other region, every cell has a value in it that is one less. This is a bit like, what was it called? Pining for the Fjords the other day, where we had plus and minus values in cages, but in the hot region everything is +1, in the cold region everything is -1, and the values there are going to apply to these sort of split peas, where, so how this works is you have two circles on the end of a line, and the sum of the values on the cells, the sum of the values on the lines is going to be equal to a number given by concatenating, putting together. Let's say we had a value of 1 in one of these cells and a value of 6 in the other. The value of these cells could be 16, because you can put 1 before 6. That's how it works. You're concatenating the two values. It could also, in that instance, be 61 if that was possible on two cells, which it isn't. Leading zeros are allowed, so these circles could have a value of 0 and lead to a one-cell sum on the line. Every line between two circles is summed separately, so we're not counting that circle and all these cells on the line between them. That's not how it works. We've got one line there between those circles. We've got one line there between those. Wow, I mean, this is weird. Split peas, eh? Give it, I mean, I suppose it's because they're green and round. Not my favourite vegetable, the humble pea. I don't like them much. I don't hate them, but I certainly would never seek them out. Anyway, we are going to try and find our inner peas in this puzzle by Samu Piano. Give it a try if you fancy it on the first link under the video. I'm going to start now. Let's get cracking. I'm going to get cracking by telling you two things about yin-yang that we always end up telling you if we do a yin-yang puzzle. One is that the perimeter can only be split into a maximum of 2 runs of colour. In this case, it'll be 1 hot run and 1 cold run. And the reason is if you had 2 hot runs and you joined them together, you'd be splitting up the cold parts of the grid. The other thing that you can't have is a checkerboard of 2 cold there and 2 hot there. Because once you joined up the hot, you'd cut off one of the colds and vice versa. So we know those facts, and they may come in, well, they will come into play. I'm absolutely sure they always do. Right, where are the weak points of this? I'm going to say, I might be wrong, I'm going to say that the short lines are the weak points. Let's look at this one. How much is this cell going to be worth? It could be any digit from 1 to 9, and you could subtract or add a digit to or from that. This cell could be worth anywhere between 0 and 10. Now it can't be 0 in this case, because you can't, in this box, make both of these negative 1s, because they would both be 1s. So the value of this is somewhere between 1 and 10. And either any of those values between 1 and 10, as rendered in 2 digits, is going to require a 0. So one of these is a negative 1, giving a 0. I think that has to apply here in column 1 and here in row 1 as well. And in fact, these, look at those. They have little, it's like little Mickey Mouse up here with ears and a nose and a head. One of those is a 1. I'm going to pencil mark across boxes like a fiend. And it's acting as a 0. So there's a cold... and these are on the perimeter. So there's a cold 1 in one of those cells and a cold 1 in one of these. Now, these 2 cells are different. And I now know that one of those is hot and one of those is cold. Because although the digits in them are different, the values, well, hang on, are the values the same? Or could you read these numbers the other way round? What I'm specifically wondering is, could one of them be 10 and the other one be 0, 1? And the answer is no, the answer is yes. Because if this was a 1 and a 2 cold, that could be read as a total of 10 or 1. And here you could have a 9 hot and a 2 cold. I mean, this is confusing me. It's definitely true, I think. I'm just recapitulating. It's definitely true that one of these circles in each case has to have a 0 value. I think it's also definitely true that these 2 are 1 hot and 1 cold cell, otherwise there'd be... No, it's not true anymore. Even in that case where I came up with, of a hot 9 and a cold 2, there is 1 of each. Okay, so it is true, unless I've missed one of the possible cases. Now, I'm very tempted to say, no, it's not true. I was going to say that if those were both cold, that can't be hot because of the perimeter rules, but why would I know that they are both cold? I don't think that's a thing at all. Maybe this is the interesting one, because as well as that being a sum, not a sum, but a concatenation of those, so is that, and so is the total of these 3. This is weird. There's also, don't forget, there's this 1 cell sum over here. That similarly, this has a value of between 0 and 10. So one of these two, might be even both, has got a cold 1 in it, acting as a 0. But I don't even want to pencil mark that, because there's no relation between those cells apart from that line. Oh, good, blue. I don't want to swear, but I don't know how to do this puzzle. That is being borne in on me quite quickly. In the original rule set that I inherited, it didn't say leading zeros are allowed. So I'm glad that's been stated, even though we would have been able to work it out at this point. Anyway, where do we go next? I haven't got a Scooby-Doo. Goodness. There's literally no reason why the thing that isn't a 1 in these circles can't be almost any digit and have either a hot or a cold value. So maybe somewhere else in the perimeter I can't have another. What I need to find in the perimeter is places where there's a transition between hot and cold. If I could establish that there is a transition here and a transition here, that would actually be something. Let me just see if that makes sense. Can these all three be cold? That's the case, in which case there's no transition. And this would be a 1 translating as a 0. Ah! No, they can't. These can't all three be cold, because the 1 would translate to a 0 and the other two would have the same value. And these can't have a value of 10. Oh no, hang on. If one was a -2 and one was a -1, you could have a hot 9 in the middle, but still you wouldn't have the same 3. These can never be 3 cold cells, and these can never be 3 cold cells. And here we go. That means that there is a transition within those 3 cells from cold to hot, and there is one there. And that means you can never have that situation of cold 2 and 1 surrounding hot 9 to make 10, because there's a transition in the other one and you'd end up having too many runs of different colours in the perimeter. So in each of these cases, the cold 1 translates as a leading 0. The other two have to be different because they have the same value. We're looking at a concatenation of 0x to be a sum of x. So these are the 2 other cells. They have to both equal x. And to do that in the same row or column, 1 is hot and 1 is cold. So there is a transition within this threesome and this threesome. And what I'm going to use that to mean is that the rest of the perimeter from there to there is all one colour, and the perimeter from there to there is the other colour, because there is a transition and we're only allowed these 2 runs of colour. I don't know which is hot and which is cold yet, but I can colour those purple to avoid 2x2s, and that green. I'm using purple and green because I want to translate to blue for cold and orange for hot at some point, and I can't do it yet. So, if this is cold, these are the 1s. Oh, then these are hot. Yeah, so these are both the same colour. I don't think that's very useful. But they're a different colour from this. So maybe I can use that here. Yes, I'm not allowed the checkerboard. These 2 have to be different colours. We worked that out earlier, and I'm not allowed the checkerboard. Therefore, that is purple and that is green. And now I'm not allowed the checkerboard here, so that is green. I'm not allowed the 2x2, so that is purple. And we've got a start. Now, that is the cold 1, because after the cold 1 has been done, the other 2 are different colours. That is the cold 1. So cold is purple. Done it. Done it. Cold is purple and goes blue. Green now is hot and goes orange. There we go. These are not 1s now. This is not a 1 by Sudoku, so that's a cold 1 in the central box. Now, one of these at least was going to be a cold 1. I doubt that it can be both, but I don't know which. I'm tempted to pencil mark that. It's not that the case that 1s always have to be cold. This has to be different from that, so that's blue as well. And this has to be different from that, so this is orange. And we can't have a checkerboard, so that's orange. This blue has to get out, so that's blue. And these are now hot digits that aren't 1 and aren't the same. Now, that's quite interesting. What is the minimum value of this line? These are going to have to be at least a 2 and a 3, which have a value of at least 34. And these are cold, so they're negatived. Those could be a 9 and 8 with a value of 15. Plus a hot 9 is 25. Plus a hot 9 is 35. There's only 1 degree of freedom from 34. So these are 2. One of them is a 2, which reads as a 3. One of them is a 3 or a 4, which reads as a 4 or a 5. These are either 9 and 8 or 9 and 7 reduced, and these are either hot 9s or hot 8s. They have to be hot or cold. They can't be cold. They're both hot. And they're either 9 or 8. There's only 1 degree of freedom, and turning a cell cold takes away 2 degrees. That's weird. Okay, this is a 3. So that's blue. To avoid a checkerboard, that's orange. This blue has to get out, so they're blue. And we've had some progress. I feel like that's real progress. Now, by Sudoku, there's a 1 in one of those cells. The difference between these two is 2. And similarly, in fact, those two are the same digit, because that's acting as a 0 in this sum. And that digit is not 2 or 9 or 1. Can I prove that those two are the same digit? I doubt it. Those two have a difference of 2. Those two have a difference of 2. Those two are the same digit. Now, what's going on here? These are hot. This could be a 1 and that could be a 2. But when you add the hot values, they're up to 5 already. This can't be a 1, so it has a value of at least 1, which takes it up to 6. But this could be, this can't be a 9, because at least one of those is a 9. If that was a 9, that would be a 9, and then you couldn't put either 9 in there, you'd lose 2 degrees of freedom, which is too many. So this is, I'm going to say 8, 7, or 6, and then I'm just going to work out, can it be a 5, which is worth a hot 6, with a 1, 2... No, this would have to be at least a 3 with a value of 2, so 6 is the minimum. And this is 2 different, and it's bigger than this, because it's getting cold. So that is 8 or 9, and this is 6 or 7. And that is an 8-9 pair. And this is a 7, and bang goes the degree of freedom on this line. We can now fill in 9 there, 9 in both of those, and this is a 2-4 pair now. No, hang on. 16, or 8 plus 6 is 14, plus 10 is 34. So these are a 2 and a 3. Yes, that's how it worked. That 7 is looking at this, which is good because that 9 is looking at this. And there we go, we've got that started. Now, these digits are the same, and they can't be any of 1, 2, 3, 9, or 7. They are 4, 5, 6, or 8, but this is 2 bigger, so they're not 8s. They're 4, 5, or 6, and this is 6, 7, or 8. What a weird puzzle. Now, these only add up to 6. And I think that, no, to 7. That's worth 7. So 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 takes us to 5. And 3 minus 1 takes us to 2. But this could equally be a 2, and that could be a 3. I think they have to be a 2 and a 3. And one is hot and one is cold. Is that right? Yes. And that has to be a 1 getting increased to a 2. So their value is 5, and it's plus 1 and minus 1. So I don't know which way around they go, but their value is 5, that's value is 2, and that makes the 7 here. And we've kind of done this. And I can't, it's odd that I can't resolve the 2-3 pair, but there it is. That is the rationale. Now, where is the second 2-3 in the top row? It can't be there because 2-3 are done in this box. And it can't be there because they're done in this box, so that is 2 or 3. With a value of 1 or 2. This has a value of 0. I don't know what that does for these. These digits are 4, 5, 7 and 9. That one can't be a 9. That is 4, 5, 6 or 8. So these they definitely include a 9. That's not interesting. Can that be a 1? Yes. In fact, one of these was going to be a 1. One of these is definitely a 1, and one of them is a 6 now. That's weird. No, it's not that weird. There's a reason that we were finding those would be the same. So we've also got 9 and 9, and there's a 9 somewhere here. That's a hot 9 for what it's worth. Wow, can this be worth a 10? What were the rules about concatenating into a 3-digit sum? I haven't even, well, I mean, it would be nonsense. You couldn't possibly, that can't be the hot 9, because it would be worth 10. And you'd have a 3-digit concatenation. Oh, I suppose, if it began with a 0, 10 is possible. Okay, I'm putting the 9 back there. I don't really know what that means for the rule. Now, these two are 1 of each, and they're 2 apart in the same way that these were going to be 2 apart, because that's acting as a 0. Now, there was the possibility, maybe it applied here, that this could be worth 10. Now, well, that can't be a hot 9 anymore, so that's gone. So this is acting as a leading 0. These two have the same value. They're 2 apart. They don't include 9, 1, or 6. So they're either a 2-4 pair, or they involve a 5. That's not enough information to go on, is it? I don't think it is. I don't know. But thinking about odd digits, these two are both the same parity. If they were odd, they would be 7 and 5, and you couldn't make up these cells. That's nice. So these are both even. If they involve a 4, they're a 6-4 pair. That's 5, 7, 9. And that's an 8. If they are 8 and 6, well, they always involve a 6, so that's not a 6. I think that's all I can actually do there now. Now, yin-yang. I haven't really thought about the yin-yang in a long time, it feels like. Maybe that's because there's nothing to be gained from thinking about the yin-yang at this point, and my brain knew that somehow. There is a 1 in one of those cells, and there is a 1 in one of those. I don't know. Truth, but not helpful truth. These two. They add up to somewhere between 6 minus 2 is 4, and 12 minus 2 is 10. That gives a lot of possibilities here. Okay, that doesn't really do anything. We've had the 2-3 pair here. We need another 2 or 3 in one of these cells. These are from 1, 4, and 5. 9, 7, 2, 3, 1. This is 4, 5, 6, or 8. I don't know that this is worth noting, but you never quite know what might come in handy, so just got to try and think of everything here. I don't think this is an easy puzzle. I mean, I think 20 minutes in, I think I've made some good deductions. I haven't really got very far. I'm quite pleased with this line being resolved almost completely. I could colour these 2s and 3s. Is that going to do anything? Those are the same as that. That's not going to do anything. No. 8, 6, 9, 7. These, one of them is from 2 and 3, and one of them is from 4 and 5. So there's a 7 in one of these cells. Can that be a 7? If it was a hot 7, they would add up to 10 and be 7 and 3. That's so strange. No, I've got it wrong. Yes, if it was a hot 7, it would be worth 8. That's right. They would be 7 and 3. If it was a cold 7, they would have a value of 6 and would add up to 8 and would be 5 and 3. So if that's a 7, that's definitely a 3. But that could be a 7, so that probably wasn't even worth thinking about. I just hoped that I could rule that out from being a 7, and I couldn't. Will you be quiet, phone? Okay, I don't know. By Sudoku, this is at least 4, but then by that, it had to be about 4. I don't know. That's not giving me any information. Now, there's this. This is a hot digit that's not a 1. So its value is at least a 3. Right, this is not the tens digit for this line. This is the tens digit for this line. And the most these can add up to is 8 and 7 plus 2 for being hot would be 17. So this has to give a 1 or a 0. So it can't be a 1. So that is a cold 2, giving a 1. And these two do add up to at least 10. Okay, well that was something. Let's take 2 out of those cells. These two do add up to at least 10. Now, if that was 8 and 6, this, in fact, they add up to at least 13. This could be a 2, but the minimum value here is 13 now. So, these would have to be, if that was 8 and 6, these would have to be 7 and 4, both getting hot. If that's 6 and 4, though, then we can put 8 in play here. If that was 6 and 4, the most this could be is 8 and 7, adding to 17 if they were both hot. And 17 is the maximum value, so the maximum this can be is a 6. It can't actually be a 6, so it's 2, 3, 4 or 5. And the total on here is 13, 14, 15 or 16. Is that always going to require them both to be hot? If one was cold, they could add up to 13 genuinely, but they can't use a 6, so they could be 8 and 5. If one was hot and one was cold. It's so complicated to do this detailed maths. Oh, look, those are the same. They can't be 4 because there's no 4 available here. Those are 6s. That's so straightforward. That's an 8. Don't tell me that's not. It's going to do something here. That's exactly where we were looking. 8, 6, 9. Right. The most these can be is 7 and 5, 12. But the least they can be is adding up to 13 because of those. So they're either 7 and 5 or 7 and 4. They're definitely both hot. They're adding up to 13 or 14, and that is a 2 or a 3. There's definitely a 7 there, and they're definitely both hot. So this is now cold by yin-yang because of the 2 by 2. These two are cold. Wow. Okay, the most digits they can be is 8 and 7, because we've had 9 in the box. 15 minus 2 is 13. This digit is at least worth a 3. 13 is the max. This has to be worth a 1 or a 0, and it has to be a cold 1 or a 2. And for these to be 8 and 7, for this to be a 1 at all, a value of 1, so it was a cold 2, this would be a hot 2, and these would be an 8 and a 7. And I think that's possible. It would actually be very helpful if it had to be that, but it's more likely in some ways that this is a cold 1. No, hang on, then these would have to add up to 4 or 3, and they can't do that with the 1 having gone, so it is the version. Let me just think about that. This cell has a value of 3 or 4. It can't be the tens digit on this line. It's the units digit. So, oh, right, these have a value of either 3 or 4 or 13, because we can't go above 13. Now, I was going to say they couldn't add up to 3 or 4 because of that 1, but of course they could be a 2 and a 3 or a 2 and a 4 with the coldness. That would take them up to a value of 3 or 4. Or this has a value of 1 and is a 2, and that would put 8 and 7 there. Wow, that's such a weird set of possibles. Now, I haven't thought about this baby for a while. Now, it can't be a 9, so it's not got a value of 10. So one of these is a leading 0. The other one, well, I was going to say it's got the same value as this, but it doesn't have to be a different colour or a different digit, because it could be the same digit in the same colour this time. Now, all I know is this isn't 6, 9 or 2 at the moment. Oh, wow. Hang on. I have not been thinking about this line, because I thought, oh, these can be any value. They can't be any value. They've got a maximum value of, well, 9s they can't be. 8 and 7 plus the 2, 17. So one of these is providing a 1 or a 0. And one of them is therefore, again, a cold 2 or 1. So it's this one, because that's not cold. This is a cold 2 or 1, and it must now be a cold 1, providing the units value of 0. And now that's quite interesting, because whatever you put in here is adding 2. Well, okay, it was quite interesting for a moment. Then I lost interest in it. Okay, but now we've got a value of 0 there, and a value of either 0 or 1 here. Well, we could have 0, 0, 0 if we put 1, 1, 1 and make them all cold. But it's more likely that this has a value of 1. No, that doesn't work. For this to have a value of 1, it would have to be a cold 2, which it can't be. For this to have a value of 10, it would have to be a hot 9, which it can't be. So incredibly, this is a line with a value of 0 achieved by a number that's worth 0 in the middle of it, and they're all 1s physically. That's just one of the most insane things I've ever seen in a puzzle. That is bonkers. Samu, you have gone crazy, my friend. That's so funny. That line is worth 0. I don't know that I've ever seen a line worth 0 in a puzzle before. That's quite amusing. It's amusing now I got it. Now, yin yang, we've got that being orange, and that's probably been available for a little while. This mustn't be checkerboard, so that's blue. This mustn't be 2 by 2, so it's orange. This mustn't be checkerboard, so it's blue. This mustn't be 2 by 2, so it's orange. Good old yin yang. And the fact that I've learned a few things. This mustn't be 2 by 2, so it's blue. This mustn't be checkerboard, so it's blue. And on we go. Oh, goodness. Well, that felt good. Coloured about 10 cells in a row. Not quite that many. Oh, and we've done this line. Now, that is now worth 0, and it's the tens digit. So these are the low version. They're not 7 and 8. They definitely include a 2. And they're either 2, 4 with a 2 there, or, no, sorry, 2, 3 with a 2 there, or 2, 4 there with a 3 there. This pair, I mean, we're getting close to knowing about their yin-yangness. Aren't we? No, maybe not. Those can't have a 1 in. Right. I've still got 2 lines left to consider at all. Oh, where's 2 in this column? Yeah, that's a very good question. Very straightforward. Thank you for asking it. It's there. So now we know that these add up to 1, 3, 13, which makes them a 7 and a 4, plus the 2 for hotness. That's a 3, 5 pair down there. That 2 is fixing this as a 2, 3 pair, I think it was. 5, yes, that's right. Now, that can't be a 2. Now, these have to have the same parity, so we can rule out 4. Now they definitely use a 5. It's either a... there's a 7 gone in the box. So that is a 3, 5 pair. Whichever one is hot is the 3, and whichever one is cold is the 5. Six, 8, and 9 still to place in this central box. Now, there could well be some Sudoku ramifications going on that I just haven't been picking up for a while. These digits can't be 2 or 3 in the row, so they're from 4, 5, 7, and that's a triple, and this is where 8 goes in the row. That was much more easily done by Sudoku if I'd noticed it, which obviously I didn't. Now, 8 is in one of those cells in box 6. That's a 2, 3 pair. These are all from 4, 5, 7, 8, including this. Now, if that was an 8, yeah, that's not an 8. This one is, well, I'm going to write in all the candidates so we can think about it, because we're going to add 2 to the total of these. And if that was a 4, this couldn't be 5, 6, or 8. If it's anything higher, this definitely couldn't be 5, 6, or 8. So we've reduced that to 2, 3, or 4. This one, if this was 7, this is now too high. So this has to be 4 or 5. That's a pair in the column, leaving a 7, 8 pair. Now, how are we going to cope? Well, that's interesting as well. The minimum we can get to, 4 plus 2 is 6, plus the 2 is 8. I am bearing in mind this is a 0 leading digit. That has a minimum of 8, so that is now 7 or 9, because it can't be 8. If it's a 9, these actually, then it's worth 10, and these actually add up to 8 in real life and must be 5, 3. And that won't work because of this. It would break this cell. So that's not actually 9, that's a 7. These actually add up to 8, or no, they add up to 8 in the puzzle, therefore the digits add up to 6, and they must be 4, 2. And that is all suddenly resolved. Isn't that weird? So that's 8, that's 7, this is 5, that's become 4, that takes 4 out of these cells, puts it in there. Surely these 2s and 3s are done. Or not. Oh yes, they are by this. 3, 2, 3, 2 in the corner. 3, 2, 3. No 3 or 5 in these cells, so we can write in 4 and 2. Now, maybe I can do this arrow finally. That is worth 2. Okay, this is a leading 0. This is going to be worth 4, 6, or 8. That's worth 2. This is going to be worth 2, 4, or 6. It's not a 9. And it's different in some way from this. Can this be a 7? No, can this be a 5 worth 4 or 6? Yes. If that was a cold, I don't know, if this was a hot 5, that could be a cold 5. In fact, if this is hot, it's the same digit as that, weirdly. If it's a cold 7. And that's a cold 5. I think that's mad, but it's definitely true. Now, 4's in one of those cells. That's just Sudoku. This 6, 8, 9 hasn't been... Oh, it's 7 is sitting next to that digit, so they're just write-ins now. That's become a 7. That's 4 and that's 8. Just doing the ordinary Sudoku is probably easier than considering things like that arrow. This is now a 3, 9 pair. This is a 5, 6 pair. Feel like when we get to Sudoku, I'm enjoying myself more. Now, these can't be 3 or 5, so they're from 6, 8, 9. This one can't be 6 or 8, so it's from 3, 5, 9. I'm going to have to think about this circle and these lines in a moment, but I'm putting it off for now. This digit can't be a 1 or a 2. Or is it yin-yang next? No, think about this digit. It can't be a physical 1 or a 2. I suppose if it's a 3, it could have a value of 20 something. In fact, this has a value of 2. Oh, this is naked, by the way. Sorry, there's a 6, 8, 9 triple in this column, and it sees 2, 1, and a 3, 5 pair, and a 4. That is a 7. And therefore that fixes 5 and 7 there. Now, what was happening here? That doesn't resolve this. This is either a 7 of the same colour, or if that's cold, this could be... I'm so confused. If this is hot, then these have to add up to 10. Then that's a cold 7. If this is cold, this is a 5. So it doesn't resolve it. But 5 and 3 here are resolved, and now we know that the 3 is hot and the 5 is cold. And the yin-yang says that those are both blue to avoid 2 by 2s. That's blue to avoid a checkerboard. That's orange to avoid a 2 by 2. I don't know up here. 3, 7, 2, 5, 1. One of these is a 4. A Did that not really get me out of there? It didn't. 4, 7, 1. 2 and 3 are in these cells. 3's in one of those two. 2's in one of those two. 7 is looking up here. That is going to sort out this. Right. They add up to 6. That's cold. And that means these two are hot. Right. Good. 5, 4, that did get me out of there. This feels like the only place 2 can be in the column, but I'm not sure about that. That is 8 or 9 by Sudoku. Now, this line's getting quite big, isn't it? Look at those possibilities. And this one is 6, 8, or 9. Well, okay, the one thing I know about that is it's not the units digit. So this is the, because I mean, it would take the total up to 70 something on both lines. It's not the units digit for either line. So this is the units digit for this line, and it's only a 1. This is the units digit for this line, and it's a 2. So this line adds up to 20 something. Yes, we've got some hot contributing to that. I see that. But even if that was 9, 8, 7, 24, and they were all hot, making it 27, this couldn't be a 9. So this is 8 or 6. And it can't be an 8, because it would be a cold 8, and they would be 9, 8, 7 and be hot, and there'd be 2 8s in the box. So that is a 6. Now, it can still be hot if this was 7, 8, 9 all hot. And if 6 was cold, with a total of 25, could this still be cold? Yes. If this was 9, 8, 7, yeah, it could. Okay, but if it's cold and these are all hot, then we've got a total of 25, and they actually add up to 22. They would be 9, 8, 5. There's always an 8 on this line, and it's always here, because 8s are looking. I think these now involve an 8 and a 6 by Sudoku. In fact, that 6 has done some real Sudoku damage in rows 7 and 8. That's good. This is a 4 and a 7. I can fill them in. Oh, doing some Sudoku. Yes. Yes, please. I think this is a 6, 8 pair by Sudoku. It is. This is a 9. This is a 2, 4, 5 triple. I can write in 2. This is getting exciting now, because I think we're nearing a finish. Now, look. I thought that couldn't go below a 5. This has to be a 9 to get this total up. We get a 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing any interest in whether it's hot or cold. Now, I think this is a 5 and hot, and that's an 8 and hot. And then these add up to 22 plus 3 hot is 25. Yes, I'm right. That's a 5. And this is a cold 6. And we have broken it. I can't make this digit either cold because it creates a 2 by 2, or hot because it shuts in a cell. Ah! Let's go to here. I was right to this point. Surely I'm right. I mean, everything has worked so well. Let's do Sudoku at this point. That's a 9. That's a 7. That's a 9. That's a 3. That's a 3. 3's a low number. I want some low numbers on this. That's good. 2 is there, and that's not a 2. Oh, I can't believe I've really broken it. I'm going to be very upset if that's the case. This is 8 or 9. That's part of a 4-5 pair, which is a sort of deadly pattern at the moment. Okay, this sort of works by Sudoku at the moment. That can't be 9. Right, that's where we are by Sudoku now. What have I done wrong here? Please. That's a 2. 20 5 can only be achieved by 9, 5, 8 being hot. But that would be cold. Oh, I don't know. What about this line? It looks wrong. Something's gone wrong down here. This is so annoying at this stage of the puzzle, when everything else has been going okay. But let's look at this. See, that is a 1, and that is a 5 or a 7, if I'm at all right. And that means 15 or 17. But even if you make all of these cold and as minimal as possible, 6, 14, 18, 21, oh yeah, if you make them all cold, that's hot. But that needs this to be 27. And that needs these to be 9, 7, 8, all hot. So have I got 7s and 5s wrong down here somehow? Is there a chance of that? Let's go back a bit. Let's go back to, no, even putting in that 7, well, that feels right. Those were worth 6, so that had to be cold. That's correct. So now maybe I can just work it off the minimum here. 6, 8, 4, 3, 14, 18, 21. Take away 4 if they're all cold, and that can be a 6. A hot 6. What have I done wrong? Bother. There's a 7 in one of those cells. Now that's annoying because I wanted the 7. Oh, hang on. I said that couldn't be an 8. I thought 8 had to be there because I thought these 2 8s kept it out of there and there. That's not right. 8 can be here. Okay. Sorry about that mistake. And well done if you spotted it as I was making it. You are impressive. Well, you're always impressive, but you were more impressive than usual then. Right. Well, I found the mistake. That's a huge relief. And I'm okay up to this point because I haven't used it. Okay, so let's do this properly. Now, this is 6, 8, or 9 by Sudoku. We can rule out 9 because a total of 28 is more than you can achieve here. So a cold 8 there would leave these to be 9, 8, 7. That would repeat 8. This is a 6, but we don't know the colour. However, we can now use the Sudoku in rows 7 and 8. I did that before, but I was doing it on a wrong basis, and now I'm trying to be better. Better than I was. 7, 1, 8, 6, 3. That can't be 6. Now we don't have this 6, 8 pair that I came up with. What do we have? One of those is a 6. 7, 2, 4, 6, 1. This is 3, 5, 8, or 9. But we're adding up to 25 or 27. And we definitely need these to add up to at least 22. So there is a 9 on the line. That is certain. One of these two is a 9. And this one isn't. And we've got an X-wing on 9s there. So one of these two is a 9. And we've got to add up to at least 22 in raw digits. So that's not a 3. And that's not a 4. These have to be from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 5 or 9. Now 2 has to be here in the box. Has to be. 1, 2, 6. This is an 8, 9 pair in the column. That's a 6, 8, 9 triple in the row, and that's right. This is a 3 and that's a 2. This is not 8 or 9. We've got a 4-5 pair here. That can't be a 6. Okay, so this line, the absolute minimum is 6, 8, that's 14. 4 and 3 is 21. Minus 4 for them all being cold is 17, which is the maximum. So yes, that's what's happening. These are all minimum and all cold. They've got to be. They've got to be. That was the line to focus on more than the other one. And that's even minimum. So that's going to sort out all the deadly patterns and everything. And we're going to finish now. Well, we could do yin yang, couldn't we? That's got to be, both of those are hot to avoid 2x2s. Oh, and this has to get out either there or there. So we're not quite finished. We've got to do this line still. But we now know we're adding up to 27, which requires these to be 9, 8, 7 all hot. So that one's a 9. That's where 7 goes, and that's where 8 goes. They're all hot, so that's hot. This is cold. That's the yin-yang pattern finished. Now I'm just doing the last bits of Sudoku and so relieved to have found the mistake and fixed it. And now I can finish with 3 in the corner, and that's the solution. What an amazing puzzle. That is amazing. Samu Piano has done something very, very special there, but I nearly botched it towards the end. I have now achieved inner peace. And I'm very happy. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you again soon on the channel. Bye for now.